Hey guys, and welcome to Picks and Parlays, right here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, where we're broadcasting live every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. My name's Allie Burns. You can find me on Twitter at @PlusMoneyHoney, and you can find Picks and Parlays just about everywhere else you're at on the web. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Every day we're posting new videos and free picks, so subscribe to that YouTube page, and don't forget to check in. Or visit us at the mothership at picksandparlays.net. We like to think that we're up with the get down when it comes to sports betting, and we're not afraid to prove it. We've got 35 of the world's best handicappers right there on the site. All their stats, wins, losses, profit margins, it's all right there for you to take a look at. I actually had a good time today going through some of their bios. Really interesting guys. While I've got you here, let me tell you about a promo code that we're offering for the month of March. We kept it simple. It's promo code MARCH. Pop that in when you're on picksandparlays.net. Fill up your cart and you can save yourself 15% when it comes to checkout. So I've got a really good show for you guys today. We're going to do a little EPL, some English Premier League soccer with Ninos and Nick Geber. Then we're going to do some college basketball with Damian the Omen Sosh. And we'll wrap things up with Craig Trapp and some free NBA picks. We're doing this all for Wednesday, March the 4th. Wednesday, March the 4th, as it turns out, is Hug a GI Day. So, unfortunately, there's none in the studio, but if you've got one next to you, give that GI a big hug because it's their day today. All right, so that just about wraps me up for now. Grab a pen, grab a paper, and we'll be right back. We're going to go through all the free picks of today. You're going to want to write them down. If you lose your pen, don't worry. I'll recap them at the end of the show for you. Sit tight, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, and welcome back. As I promised you, it is time for some English Premier League soccer picks with Al and Nick. Al and Nick, do I have you on the line?
Yeah. Oh, yes, you do, Allie. Good,
Well,
good to be here. Now, Allie, did I hear you say that today was Hug Your Gastrointestinal Tract Day?
Yes, you did. I thought it was Hug Your 3 3/4 of an inch plastic doll day.
Oh, could be that too. That's I think they make them out of silicone now, but we'll leave that for another discussion.
All right, fair enough. Al, how are you doing? I haven't met you before. Hello, my name is Allie. Al.
Pleasure to meet you, Al. Yeah, nice to meet you, Allie.
Cheers. All right, guys, are you guys ready to talk some soccer or football, we can call it, because we're in the English realm?
Why not, Allie? Yeah.
Okay, let's start out with the Wolves and Brighton Hove Albion. What do you guys think about this one?
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't I go first? Because, I'm the oldest, and I think it's just a mark of respect. So look, if you listen to this show, you would have heard us, and Al in particular, myself, telling you that in the Tottenham Wolves game, you wanted to take Tottenham because they are, you wanted to take Wolves because they're a terrific team. Adama Traore, Raul Jimenez, one of the best number 9s in the Premier League. They are on fire. Tottenham struggling. And you know what? If you'd done that, you would have got some of that delicious and juicy plus money. I think it was plus 235, Al, if I'm not mistaken, because guess what happened? Wolves beat Tottenham. This match, Wolves playing Brighton Hove Albion. Wolves won 2 in a row. They are currently doing their best. They're tied on points with Man United for that 5th spot. They're going to want to win this game against a Brighton team that is a bit lackluster. They've gone a bit cold. which is an understatement, to be fair, because they haven't won a game since just after Christmas. There's no way on earth I could take anything other than a Wolverhampton Wanderers victory in this game. I know Al's going to probably take the pick'em because he's a little bit more conservative than I am, but I'm just going to swoop in for that yummy, yummy, yummy plus money. And I believe right now Wolverhampton Wanderers on the plus money side there is none. They're minus 147. So that's just going to show you have
You've
to
got
take
me all
Wolves, though, 'cause
excited.
they're going to win. I'm sorry.
All right, Al, what say you? Do you think he's right?
Yeah, absolutely think he's right. There's only one way to look at this game, and it's the Wolves. I mean, yeah, as you said, he called that game perfectly, by the way, against Tottenham. He said if Tottenham got out to a lead, that the Wolves would come back in it. But if the Wolves, which they did twice, by the way, and then he did say that if the Wolves would take the lead, that Tottenham would not be able to come back, which is the way the game ended. And so congrats to you, Nick. That was a great call there. But again, yeah, I have to agree with him this time. And yeah, we're actually going to have to lay some goals here to try to get some value on the Wolves. So I like them right now. I see them on the if you put a bit on the money line, which is really juiced, and then a bit on -1 line, it should come out to about a -116.
All right, and that ain't bad. Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Nick, you really are good at picking the final score of the game. I must say that. I follow your stuff. You're pretty good at that.
Well, you know, Ali, I have been a professional pundit specializing in the Premier League. This will be my 20th year.
A pundit specializing in the Premier League? Say that 5 times.
It's a lot of P's, I know. I know. It's a lot of P's.
All right,
yes,
your
exactly.
own tongue twister.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Sheffield and Norwich. Al, let's start with you this time. What do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, this is another big mismatch. I mean, Sheffield's obviously the better team here, and again, the big favorites. There may be a battle for the other 2 relegation spots, but Norwich has got their spot at the bottom of the table locked up, I think. And they are coming off a pretty impressive 1-0 win against Leicester, but, you know, just like the best teams we saw go down, can't win them all. I guess the worst teams can't lose them all either. I don't think that's a trend that will be continuing, though, and I think Sheffield wins this one rather easily. Again, we're going to have to lay that same line pretty much, put a little bit on the money line, a bit on the -1. Nick will probably just put it all on the money and get some plus money, but I'm doing that same money line -1 for this time more I see it move that one at -118.
All right, -118. Nick, go ahead.
Well, you know, Al, before the show, you know, we talked about the picks, and I said, you know, I think I agree with you on everything. But, you know, I have to say, the more I think about this particular match, Norwich are coming off that massive win, albeit it was at Carrow Road, so it was at home against Leicester City. And you know, look, very unique to sports outside of America is this promotion and relegation battle that goes on. The bottom 3 teams in the Premier League will get dumped down to the Championship. That is like moving out of the NFL and going to play in the XFL, to use an example. And the top 3 teams in the XFL would come up to the NFL. What happens when we get this late on in the season, 10 games to the end? The teams that are in danger of losing all that delicious Premier League money and star power, they start fighting for their lives. And, you know, we saw this particularly over the weekend. Watford giving the first defeat to Liverpool of the season. Why? Well, Watford, a decent team, but they are fighting for their very lives. Norwich City, they are not out of this battle yet. This 3 points they picked up at Leicester City could well have given them a little bit of drive, shall we say, a little bit of belief. You know, they're not a great team, no doubt about it. Sheffield United are a lovely team. Both these teams were promoted from the Championship. They both played each other last season a lot. And Sheffield United coming off a draw, albeit to Brighton Hove Albion, a team they should have beaten. You know what, Al? I'm gonna change it up on you, buddy. I'm gonna say this is a draw.
A draw? Is he allowed to do that,
Good
Al?
luck with that one. I don't know if he should be on this one. I mean, I don't see it here, but best of luck to you.
All right, fair enough. I wasn't going to bring up the 3-0 Liverpool loss, but...
No, bring it up. It's fine. And look, Liverpool are in trouble. they're having their blip. Every team will have a blip unless you're Arsenal in their invincible season. They lost to Atletico Madrid. They had a tough game against West Ham. By the way, don't count out the fact one of the toughest games they played this season was that 1-0 victory they got over Norwich City. So, and that was just the game before they lost to Watford. So look, these teams at the bottom fight for their lives, and they give the effort that maybe they should have done at the beginning of the season. They wouldn't be at the bloody bottom of the table. But let's just go with it. Let's move on, because I know we're running out of time. This next game, we're going to have a lovely consensus.
All right. Dueling handicappers, I present you Watford and Crystal Palace. Nick, go.
Well, I don't think actually Al and I are going to be in much disagreement on this one, to be honest with you. I am a huge fan of this Watford team. I've talked about them a lot. I think this team, particularly, they lost Troy Deeney for much of the early part of the season, and he was their, he is their body and their soul. It's a very well-run club. It's a club where everybody's happy, and they were really, struggling at the bottom of the table. They bring in Nigel Pearson. He turned it around, and they had a little bit of a dead spell. This win against Liverpool, though, gives them all the impetus. I used the dust boot analogy. I said Watford were that submarine that was stuck at the bottom of the ocean, and they're fixing it, and they're blowing the water out, and it's their last gasp, and suddenly it shakes and it moves, and the sand blows, and it slowly lifts up off the bottom. Well, that's what Watford have been doing. They are now out of the relegation zone. This is a huge match. Now, Crystal Palace, on the other hand, I'll make this quick. This is one of these teams. You just never know what you're going to get day in, day out. I mean, they are a Roy Hodgson team, so they should be a little bit more predictable. They have won 2 on the bounce, though, against Newcastle and against Brighton Hove Albion. But you know what? I like Watford for this game. They've got so much more to play for than Crystal Palace. I'm going to take the away team here, and I believe that there is some delicious plus money on this one. Is there not, Al?
Yeah, I believe they're plus 178. Let me double check that number for you. But yeah, I do agree that Watford is the side. Unfortunately, this is the one that I see as the closest one of the 3. So if there were to be a draw, this is the one I would put my money on. But that being, sorry, I see it plus 189. So yeah, a little more plus money for you there. But yeah, we've talked about how inconsistent some of these teams been. I think Watford's really showed that throughout their season, and maybe even summed it up in their last 2 games. Losing 3-0 to United, and then following that up with that big 3-0 win against Liverpool. And I think they do carry that momentum over to this game. And
all right,
Palace coming off 2 1-0 wins, but you have to go a long way, all the way back to 2019 to find
all right.
the last
Give me
one
a pick.
before that.
I need a pick.
I'm taking Watford. I pick him at plus 110.
All right, both of them pick
go.
Watford. We'll be right back with NCAA with Damian Sosh. Sit tight. Hey guys, and welcome back. Picks and Parlays right here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. Don't forget, you can catch us streaming live every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific. Now it's time for some college hoops. I've got Damian the Omen Sosh on the line. Damian, are you there?
I'm here, Allie. How you doing?
I'm rocking and rolling. How's your few days of March treating you so far?
So far, so good. So far, so good. I mean, definitely looking forward to the March Madness going on. Tournaments already starting up. It's a great time for college basketball right now.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. It really is.
Yes, it is.
Spoken from someone who's not a huge football fan, clearly. Okay, so we've got 4 games today. These are all pretty good ones. I'm excited about all of them. I'm going to start you off with Xavier at Providence. Xavier is 19-10, number 7 in the Big East. They've won 3 of their last 5. Last one was at Georgetown, 66-63. Depending on where you got that number, they closed at -3.5. They did not cover it, but you could have got something better. They are 5-5 on the road. Providence is 17-12. This is a team I really like and I've been following, and they just kind of kicked themselves into gear. They've won 4 in a row. Last one was at Villanova, 58-54. They covered the +7.5. They're 11-3 at home. I feel like this is a really even matchup that could go back and forth. I'm showing it Xavier +5, Providence -5 at home, and a total of 131. What do you think?
Yeah, taking a look at this game right now, as it stands, I would say Xavier is in the tournament. They're coming off wins versus DePaul, and they just beat Georgetown, as you mentioned, with the 3-pointer right at the buzzer as time expired. Xavier beat this Providence team back on February 8th. The final score is 64-58. But since then, Providence really has picked it up. They had some struggles early on in the season. Providence, they were just 6-6 at one time. Some bad losses to Northwestern, Long Beach State. But right now, though, I'd say they're one of the hottest teams in the country. They've won 4 in a row. In the month of February, they beat 5 top 25 teams in February alone. Very impressive. And one of the reasons for all their success is their ability to get to the foul line. This is a team in Big East play. They shoot 21 foul shots per game. Over the recent win streak, they've been shooting 26 foul shots per game. That's a lot of free. If they can, convert in their foul shots, a lot of free points. And another reason for their success is the improved play of Luwani Pipkins. He's a senior guard. He only averages 10 points on the season. His last 2 games, though, he's put up 27 and 24 points. That's over Marquette and Villanova. Pipkins, he's just 5'11", but he has the ability to create his own shot. And he can take over a game when needed. Providence is just really hot right now, and I like them at home laying the 5 points against Xavier.
All right. Damian says lay the 5 at home with Providence. I like it. Okay, so let's move on to Georgetown and Creighton. This is a little bit more of a lopsided matchup than an even one, we'll say. Georgetown's 15-14. They're number 8 in the Big East. They beat Creighton once already, 83-80. Earlier in February, but they have lost their last 4 games. Just lost to Xavier 66-63. We were talking about that. They're 4-6 on the road, and they're cruising to Creighton, which is a tough place to play at home. They're 11-3 at home. 20. I can't talk today, y'all. Just bear with me. 22-7 on the season. Number 11 in the country. Number 2 in the Big East. They were on a 5-game winning streak, but they just came off a loss at St. John. It was a 20-point loss. It was kind of a no-joker. But they've been one of the hottest teams in the nation for over a month, so I feel like they're going to pull it together at home. Showing them as a pretty big favorite, -11, 152.5 is the total. Do we lay all those points or do we take them?
Yeah, well, looking into this game, as you mentioned, Georgetown beat Creighton way back in January there it was. And since that game, though, Georgetown has just gone 3-8 on the season. They play hard, but they're not a very deep team. If you remember, they had some players that were either dismissed or left the program, and now they have some injury concerns to deal with on top of that. 7-footer Omer Yurtseven, he missed 4 of his last 5 games, and Mac McClung has missed 7 of his last 8 games. Yurtseven scored 20 points in the first meeting against Creighton, and McClung had 19 in that same game against Creighton. Right now, it's not looking like they're going to be suiting up again for this one. And meanwhile, as you mentioned, Creighton coming off that 20-point loss to St. John's, they're going to be mad. They want to get some revenge. They shot just 4 for 27 from 3-point range in that game. Creighton, though, they still have one of the top offenses in the game. Georgetown has the worst defense in the Big East. They allowed their opponents to shoot 36% from the 3-point line. Creighton is a team that can shoot the basketball. The injuries, the lack of depth on Georgetown so late in the season, I think it's really taking its toll on the Hoyas right now. And, Creighton, I just think they bounce back in a big way from that loss against St. John's, and it's a big number, but I do like them laying the 11 at home in this game against Georgetown.
All right, take the -11 with Creighton. I totally think you're right, but it's like so hard for me to lay 11 points. It really is. Maybe that's an in-gamer for me.
It is a yeah. Take a look at the live line. Never know where you get a better number.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Villanova and Seton Hall. Nova is 22-7. They're number 14 in the country and number 3 in the Big East. They are coming off that home loss to Providence we were talking about, 58-54. Clearly, they did not cover. I was kind of thinking maybe they looked ahead of Providence to play this game against Seton Hall, but I mean, you can't deny Providence is good. Anyway, because they won 5 in a row before that loss. They're 7-3 on the road. I have a feeling Jay Wright is like ready to rumble with Seton Hall. Hall's 21-7. I feel bad because I'm not doing Nick's pirate voice right now. Number 8 in the country, number 1 in the Big East. They beat Villanova at home 70-64 in early February. 3 wins in a row. Last one was at Marquette, 88-78. It's a convincing one. They're 11-3 at home, showing them as a favorite, -4.5, and the total's at 140. Lay it on me.
These are two pretty evenly matched teams. They rank 3 and 4 in the Big East in offense and 1 and 2 in defense. Seton Hall right now at 13-3 there, 13-3 in the Big East, pretty much in the driver's seat for the regular season title, but they have the toughest road, the toughest games remaining of anybody in the Big East. Obviously the game with Villanova, and then they finish up on the road at Creighton. Seton Hall loses both. If they lose both of these games, either Villanova or Creighton does have a shot at the top seed there in the Big East. The Villanova, as you mentioned, they lost that game against Providence. It was a very ugly offensive game for Villanova, which is very unusual for them because they're a pretty good shooting team. They shoot 35%. I'm sorry, in that game against Providence, they shot just 35% from the floor and 5 for 30 from 3. On the season, Villanova shoots nearly 36% just from three-point land alone. So it's very unusual offensive performance in that game against Providence. Seton Hall's coming into this game hot. They just beat Marquette in a game where they shot 12 for 26 from three-point land. Seton Hall, they really like to push the pace. They're averaging 75 points per game on the season, and during the recent 3-game winning streak, Seton Hall is averaging 81 points per game. Villanova, meanwhile, Villanova, meanwhile, going on the road doesn't scare them. They actually they're averaging 74 points per game away from home, and they're shooting 46% from the field away from home. Now I know we have 2 of the top defenses here going at it in the Big East. But I like the over in this one. Just the way these offenses are clicking, I think the over is the best play in this game.
All right. I like that. Especially with Nova coming off a loss. I love when they come off losses because then it's like, now we will prove something. We will avenge our loss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the way they shot in that game, I don't see them shooting it 2 games in a row like that.
Yeah, no, sometimes you have a bad night. It happens. I have a future on Seton Hall, 18-1, so I would like to see them do as well as they can. All right, another team I have a future on is Florida State, and they will be playing Notre Dame. This is a big ACC matchup. Florida State's 24-5. They're number 7 in the country, number 2 in the ACC. I feel like they should be number 1. I'm just saying. They're looking to sweep the Irish. They coming off a close loss at Clemson, 70-69. As 3.5-point favorites there. They did win 4 in a row before that. They're 6-5 on the road. So this is where you beat Florida State, is when they are on the road. Notre Dame is 18-11. If you would have told me that they're number 5 in the ACC, I don't think I would have believed you. They're coming off a loss at Wake, 84-73 as 2-point favorites. They've won 3 of their last 5, and they're 14-3 on their own court. I'm showing Florida State -2.5 at 1, and the total is 147. I kind of like this home dog here. What do you think?
Right, the Seminoles coming off that loss to Clemson there at the buzzer, but they're definitely a team, obviously a lock to make the NCAA tournament. A win here at Notre Dame would put them in a first-place tie in the ACC with Louisville. Notre Dame 9-9 in the ACC. They pretty much, I think, had their tournament chances disappear with that loss at Wake Forest. Notre Dame really doesn't have any kind of signature wins that when the committee looks at at who they want in the big dance, they don't have that on their resume. There's definitely an opportunity to get there, but I think that ship may have sailed. Both teams come into this game with very good offenses. Notre Dame's ranked third in the ACC. Florida State's fourth. The big difference, though, is on the defensive end. Florida State's ranked third in defense. Notre Dame's dead last in the ACC in defense. The first game, as you mentioned, was a close one, 85-84 Florida State win in Tallahassee, a game that could have gone either way. Notre Dame is a veteran club. They've got 4 seniors on their team that see significant playing time. John Mooney, he's a double-double machine. I'm thinking this is going to be another close game. Florida State's going to really try and push the pace in this game. Notre Dame's averaging 83 points per game at home over their last 5 games. Such a veteran team, I think they're going to come out firing. Florida State's going to be tough for them to stop scoring, though, as well. The over is 6-0 in the last Irish. Oh, over. Take the over. Last Notre Dame games, 6 home games over. Take over 147 in this one.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Damon. Take the over in Notre Dame. We'll be right back with Craig Trapp in the NBA picks. Hey guys, and welcome back to Picks and Parlays. As promised, I've got Craig Trapp here with some free NBA picks for you for Wednesday, March the 4th. Craig, how you doing?
Excited, man. It's time to turn the page. Once I see hump day in front of me, I start turning that page to the weekend. And, man, March Madness really starts next week. When I consider the Power 5 conference tournament start. And I'm going to be in Vegas a week from today. I'll be in Vegas for 2 weeks. So
woo,
that always excites me come March Madness time.
Well, of course it does. I have a ton of friends on their way in town. So, yeah, it's about that time. And Mountain West tournament is all week long. I'm working it at the end of the week. So I'm pretty stoked about that, too. Okay, but
nice.
Enough about...
You give me tickets, Allie. You give me tickets.
I'm working here, all right? Okay, so, sorry. Let's switch over to NBA. Enough about the college. We'll switch to NBA. We've got 3 matchups that have lines, one that we think we could probably project one. Everyone else is kind of playing tonight, so we don't have all of our odds ready. We would have our odds ready, but, they don't. So we're going to start with the Pacers and the Bucks, all right? So Indiana's 37-24, 31-27-1 against the spread. Both of these teams have a positive spread covering record, so I always like a game like that. The Pacers have won 4 in a row, coming off one at the Spurs, 116-111. They covered the -2.5. This is their 3rd road game in a row. Milwaukee, what do we say about Milwaukee, man? 52-9, people. All right. If you wanted to buy a future on Milwaukee, you missed it, brah. Okay, there's no value there anymore. They have an 852 win percentage. It's just crazy. They are coming off a really rare loss at Miami, so apparently the buck steps in Miami. 27-3 at home, -11 points on their own court, and the total's 222. What can you tell me about this?
Well, I guess this is the time, I think, to start betting against the Bucks as far as against the spread numbers are concerned, because 1, these lines are getting out of control, and 2, I think the Bucks, now they feel very secure. They're going to have the number 1 seed in the East, number 1 seed overall, and they're starting to coast a little. We've seen that, like you said, the loss in Miami last time out. They've had 2 losses in the last few games here. And I think, I'm not saying they're mailing it in at this point, because I don't think that's the case at all. But human nature kind of takes over. And then the odds makers go crazy here. We saw this line open at 10 all the way to 11. Yes, the Pacers are 3rd road game in a row, but they've had these spaced out a little. And it wasn't like Spurs team is a team that beat you up last time out. They're kind of a finesse team now, which is kind of weird that Coach Popovich's team would be a finesse team, but that's the case. And the Pacers look really good. They've been really starting to turn it around. And I think that tonight, getting 11 points on the road, I think is just enough for the Pacers. So let's take the Pacers plus 11. I just think Victor Oladipo finally starting to work back in this rotation in Indiana. And I think he'll have enough to slow down this Bucks team. Don't forget also Brogdon. He was the big guy that I think the Bucks let go in the offseason, and he's returning to Milwaukee. So I think he has a little something to prove here, that the big free agency signing by Indiana returning home. So I like the Pacers plus the points here, getting they're actually getting 11 now.
Yeah, that's a good angle with Brogdon. I didn't think about that. That's why you're the boss, applesauce. All right. So we're going to move on to the Garden. Memphis Grizzlies are playing the Boston Celtics. Memphis is 30-31. They have won 2 in a row.
No.
Huh?
No, they're playing the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, you're correct there. They both start with a B. It's been a long day. Okay, so Memphis is still 30-31, though. They have still won 2 in a row, coming off a win at Atlanta, 127-88. That was a beatdown. That was a 39-point beatdown. That was happening. Both of these teams are 4-6 in their last 10, so they're both looking to improve. On the road, Memphis is 13-7. Brooklyn, the Nets, are 26-33. They've lost 4 in a row, coming off one in Miami. I'm telling you, Miami's knocking suckers down right now. 116-113. Their home record is 16-3. Both of these teams give up over 110 points a game. So that always makes me kind of glance towards a total. I'm showing the Nets -2 and the total at 225. What do you think about that?
Well, what I think is this Brooklyn team is banged up. They're playing on Tuesday night, losing at Boston. Now they have to travel back home against a rested Memphis team that's young and loves to run and push the ball. I think that spells big, big trouble for Brooklyn Nets. I think Memphis Grizzlies win outright. I just think we continue to see this Memphis team push. I don't think they're going to make that 8th spot in the West, but they're going to make it interesting. And coming into the season, if you just said this team is even going to push for a playoff spot, I think most people would have, especially Memphis fans, would have taken that. I just think Morant continues to prove he's going to be the rookie of the year. As good as Zion has been since returning, Morant has put it up for the whole season, and I think he's going to get rewarded in that. And I think tonight he has a big game. Of course, it would have been nice to see Kyrie Irving up against him and see how he does. But, of course, Kyrie and Durant now out for the year for Brooklyn. And let's take the Memphis Grizzlies on the money line here. I don't even think you need the 2 points. And I think you're right. I think I would parlay this with the over 225, because when Memphis wins, they usually score 120 plus. And I think we can get the Nets to score in the hundreds as well, and that'll push this well over that 225 total. But my top play on this one would be the Grizzlies on, as Ali says, the money line.
The money line. I like it. I always love my plus money. I saw Zion got a Rookie of the Month.
Well deserved.
Yeah, I'll give it to him. Yeah.
You're
Okay.
just a Duke. You're a Duke lover, so we can't. Anytime a Duke player is involved, we should put an asterisk by your name, like asterisk.
I love talking about teams like the Pelicans, because they have like 5 Duke guys like Grayson Allen, Justice Winslow. Like that's just all Duke. It's who that is. Like it's just missing Coach K, really. Let's be honest. Okay, so next game we're gonna do Utah and the Knicks. This is like, the Knicks are killing me right now. Like, okay, Knicks at home, your record is 10-20, and now you're kicking Spike Lee out? Like, you need someone else to be angry at you and not want to watch your games? Like, this doesn't even make sense. Dolan is just such a, can I say numbnuts? Because I'm gonna. He's a numbnuts. So Utah is 38-22. They've won 2 in a row. Last one was at Cleveland, 126-113. They're 6-4 in their last 10. On the road, 17-3, so not a bad record. And they're cruising into old New York, 19-42. injury-ridden, Spike Lee kicking out, James Dolan managing the Knicks, and they just won 2 in a row. Now that I look at my notes again, just beat Houston 125 to 123. It was a close one, but I think Houston's kind of in that same spot the Bucks are, where they don't care about that stuff. Okay, so the Jazz are -7.5, and the total is 220. What do you think about this one?
Well, I think it's too bad for a Knicks fan that you beat the best win of the year for them at home, beating Houston, gets overlooked by the Spike Lee incident, and who knows what's right or wrong in this incident. I mean, James Dolan and the Knicks said all they asked him to do was not come in the employee entrance that he's come in for years, and to go into the VIP entrance, which everybody else goes in. And then Spike Lee looked at halftime to meet Dolan, and everything was okay. But then today he comes out on, of course, all the media and said he's not going to go to the game anymore, and that wasn't the case. So who knows? But I think as a Knicks fan, you have to see a little hope with this team. They're starting to play a little better, a little more consistently. I don't know if they can cover the 7.5. I'm a little more inclined to play the under here at 220, because I just think the Knicks know they can't run with many teams. They're not going to outscore many teams this year. And I think this is set up for a nice under game, under 220 here. I think the Knicks maybe cover, but the much stronger play is we'll just play the under 220. And maybe the Knicks, maybe they eke another upset out here. But if you're going to play this game, I don't think I would take the Knicks with the points. I think I would take a money line, because I think the Knicks either rally around that big win and pull up another upset, or they get blown out, because that's just the type of team this Knicks team is. They either come up big or they don't show up at all.
10 and 20 at home. You're supposed to be professionals. This stuff keeps me awake at night, okay? Awake at night.
Imagine if you're a New York Knicks fan. They've been doing this for what? Since Patrick Ewing retired, basically. I guess when Allen Houston was there, when Reggie Miller was still killing them in the Garden, there was a little bit. Man, they haven't been good. Jeff Van Gundy. I mean, you're going way back.
John Starks. I love John Starks. Yeah. Wasn't he?
Those are the Jordan era there.
Yeah, I loved John. He might be my favorite Nick. Although I remember I lived in New York for 2 years growing up, and Patrick Ewing's nose, anytime we would drive through the Lincoln Tunnel, we would call it the Patrick Ewing Tunnel, because it was like driving through his gigantic nostrils. It was like in 4th grade. It was super funny. Okay, so let's talk about a game we don't have a line on yet. I like both of these teams a lot. Pelicans 26 and 34, coming off a home loss to the Lakers 122 to 114. They're 6-4 in the last 10. JJ Redick, I don't know if you heard of him, but he went to Duke. And Williams are both out. They're 14 and 16. Are you trying not to laugh, or are you trying not to cry?
Yes. Asterisk, Duke. Every time I hear Duke, I asterisk.
That one was just for you. I wasn't going to say that.
Andrew, put that on the graphic from now
on. Mavericks are 37 and 25. After 4 road games, they're finally heading back home. They just lost at the Bulls, 109 to 107. Did not cover the 7-point spread. They're dealing with some injuries. Seth Curry, Willie Cauley-Stein, Jalen Brunson out day-to-day. Not great things going on for the Mavs, which is unfortunate, because they've been really fun to watch all season. 16 and 14 at home. It's kind of even keel. So what would you project this line to be?
Well, if Luka Doncic plays, which it sounds like he will, I would expect Dallas to be in that 4 to 5 point favorite here. And the reason is the Pelicans are in a back-to-back. Of course, they're playing at home tonight against Minnesota, winning, which you're not going to believe this score. It's not even the end of the third quarter, and New Orleans is winning 104 to 97. The total tonight was 240. I think it was 242. And I thought, that's crazy, But I would expect this total to be into the 240s as well. I mean, this New Orleans team is scoring in bunches. The ball and the ball and Zion connection. I mean, the alley-oops that they're throwing is unbelievable. The way they get out and run off out of bounds plays. I mean, it's been fun to watch. I like another high-scoring game. I mean, even if it's in the high 230s, low 240s, I think you take the over here. I just think it's not a New Orleans team that likes to play any defense, but nobody can stop them either. So I think you just lay the over in these Pelicans games. I mean, almost every game has been They're scoring in the mid 120s to 130s, and nobody, Lakers included, have really been able to stop Zion. I mean, Zion has been as advertised. I thought he might be a little overrated, but it has not been the case. Zion Williams is a superstar in the making, I think.
I thought the same thing too. I was nervous. I kind of even talked some, not trash, but I talked him under. I just wasn't sure he was a big man that could stay healthy. And I really liked Ja and kind of thought he was more versatile. But holy cow, this man breaks Nikes, for crying out loud. And yeah, man among boys, he is now a man among men.
Yeah, at 300 pounds, I mean, is what they're saying. I mean, he moves like a 240 guy. I mean, he's kind of like
sprightly.
LeBron-esque, where it's just he's a freak of nature. I just worry at that size, we're not going to see the Blake Griffin type stuff where he starts to break down in his mid or early 30s.
Yep. All right, Craig, it is a pleasure to have you as always. I'll catch you next time. You guys stick around. I'm going to recap all the picks from today's show right when we get back. Hey guys, welcome back to Picks and Parlays. Once again, my name is Allie Burns. Don't forget to check me out at Plus Money Honey on Twitter. It's been an excellent round of handicapping today, gentlemen. I must say, we are going to go over all of the picks, but let me remind you about that promo code. Use the promo code MARCH all through the entire month of March, and it will save you 15% upon checkout, as much as you want, as many cappers as your heart desires, when you visit us at picksandparlays.net. All right, so grab your pen, grab your paper, grab your GI and give them a hug, and I'm going to recap all the picks from today's show for you. So we started out with Al Ninos and Nick Geber. I don't know if you know, but Al Ninos actually won the Next Top Capper contest last spring. He and Nick both agree Wolverton and Brighton take the Wolves minus a half a goal and minus 116. Sheffield at Norwich take Sheffield minus the 118. Watford versus Crystal Palace take Watford at plus 110. Up next, we had Damian the Omen Sosh. Damian is in the top 5 handicappers on the site for the last 30 days. Kind of a big deal. Definitely check him out. His college basketball picks, he says Xavier at Providence. Take that home team, Providence minus 5. Georgia at Creighton, lay that big number, minus 11 with the home team there. Nova at Seton Hall, let's go over 140 in that matchup. Florida State at Notre Dame, take the over 147. And then we wrap things up with Craig Trapp and his NBA matchups. Craig says in the Pacers and the Bucks, take the Pacers plus 11. Jazz at Knicks, let's take the under 220 points. Grizzlies at Nets, take the Grizzlies plus 2. And if you catch a good line on that Pelicans game, get on the over. All right, guys, it's been a great show. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to check us out every Monday through Friday right here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. Sorry, this has been Allie Burns with Picks and Parlays. Bet, win, repeat.